Hey guys, it's Destiny, and you may be wondering by the title, what makes Jeppy here so great? Why do I think he's so good? In today's video, we're going to be going over that since I personally think Gepard is by far one of the best survivability characters in the game and can be an amazing asset to have on any team comp. So to begin, I wanted to go over the basics of Gepard. What does he have in his kit that allows him to be so great? And in what scenarios and situations is he really good in? So first off, let's go over his skill. His skill is by far one of the more important things as well as his ultimate and his technique. So Gepard's skill allows him to do ice damage to a single enemy, but the real cool thing that Gepard has is that he's able to have a 65 base chance to freeze the enemy. Base chance is basically where you apply debuffs to a target's hit, and the final probability is affected by the attacker's effect hit rate and the enemy's target's effect resistance. This is really important, and I'm about to get into why, but also Gepard is able to basically, since he freezes them, the enemy won't be able to take an action, and their action will be moved down in the turn order. So this is really good because if you can just keep freezing your enemy, they will take forever to be able to move again. Also, there will be a bit of DOT since they are frozen, so they do take a bit of ice damage. So now, going back to this base chance. This is really important because there is likely a way to build Gepard in order to have a 100% freeze rate. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how much effect hit rate you would need. I would assume a decent amount. A kind of cheap way to do this, though, is his first Eidolon, because his first Eidolon increases that 65 by another 35% chance. So basically now it's at 100, so whatever the enemy's effect resistance is would go against that 100%. If for whatever reason they don't have any effect resistance, then in theory they should be frozen no matter what if you had that E1. But of course, not many of us will have E1, so what I would recommend is just when you do build Gepard, definitely keep in mind this effect hit rate because you want him to be able to freeze enemies as much as he can. 65% is already pretty good in my opinion. I've been able to freeze enemies numerous times, but if you're able to get that effect hit rate even further, that's awesome because now you're just freezing everyone with Serval's guitar, and who wouldn't want that? Another cool thing about Gepard is his technique. His technique allows him to apply a shield to all allies, absorbing damage equal to 24% of Gepard's defense plus 150 for 2 turns. This is really good because now you can begin the battle just with Gepard's technique. You don't even have to use his ultimate. You can literally start the battle with the technique, which is really good because if you do not have his ultimate build up at that point prior to battle, which most of us won't, this is a good way to have time between the technique in the beginning of the battle and then for the ultimate to come in, and then you shield all your allies once again. Now the ultimate, one of the most important things of Gepard's kit, applies a shield to all allies, which is really good since he's able to do this, absorbing damage equal to 33% of his defense plus 307 for 3 turns. This is really good because what this means is that I know my Gepard's defense is kind of gross, but you want to build a bunch of defense on Gepard, you want to build a bunch of effect hit rate, and you also want to build energy regeneration. The reason why you want these 3 main stats the most is because his defense matters a lot for being able to have the beefiest shields there are. It's like if you went from a Little McChicken to like a Big Mac. That defense will make your shield meatier and beefier. Okay, this is kind of getting a little gross, so I'm gonna stop with the meat analogies. But the point is that you can make a really, really strong shield that basically will take enemies forever to break through. And the fact that you have a scaling of that 33% is really good because you can calculate how much of your shield you're getting. So hypothetically in a fight, if you know an enemy's nuke type of attack does 1,000 damage, then you can calculate how much defense you need, plus how much, this flat rate you get, in order to always survive from that hit or just not have your shield broken. Either way though, stack a bunch of defense and Gepard will be able to make those really strong shields, which is really, really good. Technique is also good for that as well. It's a lower percentage of course, but still really good. His talent is also incredibly important because if for whatever reason Gepard's shields weren't beefy enough and you couldn't keep Gepard alive, or your team is really struggling, whatever it may be, Also, Gepard has taunt, so he will be attacked more. So it's very likely that if anyone were to go down, it might as well be Gepard because of the taunt. Preservation class characters also have a bunch of taunt naturally. So when he also uses like his skills and whatnot, Gepard just has a really high taunt. I believe when he uses ultimate, his taunt increases further and he's way more likely to be hit. So keeping that in mind, if Gepard does go down, well, guess what? He has a life up mushroom and he just comes back. Like, he literally comes back based on his max HP. But what's really cool about this, if we go to his traces right here, I believe, oh yeah, it's a trace that he has a higher chance to be attacked. My bad. But either way, this is a good way to ensure that Gepard is the one getting attacked. Now, this is what's really good. So if you get this trace, which I'm at the point where I'm level 40 now. If I want to get this material, whatever this thing is, that's a cool looking shield, whatever that is. Point is that Undying Will, or Unyielding Will, my bad, is Gepard's revive that I just talked about. When this is triggered, Gepard's energy goes to 100%. What this means is Gepard gets his life up mushroom, and he's also able to literally shield himself immediately. So he's not going to immediately go back down. Assuming that the enemy goes twice hypothetically, well, it doesn't really matter because Gepard can basically get that revive. Let's say the first hit takes down Gepard. He's able to revive. In between that, you can click his ultimate and now he has his shield back. And if you build a bunch of defense on him, he's definitely not going to have his shield like basically obliterated immediately. So then Gepard just stays on the field even longer. And this is really good because if you do hypothetically have a healer and a shielder, I don't necessarily think you need both, but in the case that you want both, which nothing wrong with that, then you can literally heal Gepard back up to full, and now Gepard is up and running again. So if you made a mistake, a huge mistake in your turn order or maybe your skill management, then Gepard can easily just come back, which is a huge thing that you're basically your survivability character on your team, the character that's going to keep everyone alive, can come right back. Another thing I'd like to mention, which I thought this was a really cool trace as well, Gepard's attack increases by 35% of his defense, his current defense, mind you. So technically, if you buff up his defense in battle, this can go up even more, and this effect will refresh at the start of every turn. This is really good because while you aren't really building attack on Gepard, Gepard will still have a way to do damage in a way. Gepard's main focus, of course, will not be doing damage. However, it's still cool that he's able to be stronger with his trace, because that attack bonus can be pretty nice just for doing a bit more damage to enemies depending on how much defense you have. But it all comes down to building a bunch of defense on Gepard. I'm sorry, guys. I cannot talk. I just woke up from a nap, and I mean, I usually have problems speaking sometimes in my videos, but today it's been a bit much. Also, for sets, my relics are garbage. Don't pay attention to that, but you can increase your defense. This set is literally like perfect for Gepard because you can just easily increase your defense. You can increase the max damage that your shield can take, which is even better because now your shields are even stronger. Gepard can just absorb so much damage. And I've been using this character now for Simulated Universe and more modes. He's so good, guys. Like, if you have a Gepard, build him up. You will not regret it. He's also really good at skill point management, which I'm not too sure how many people have spoken about that. But when you compare it to a character like March 7th, you may be wondering, okay, why would I use Gepard over March 7th? March 7th works differently, and I feel like she has different team comps that she works in. But the problem with March 7th is her shielding comes from her skill, which means March 7th technically is pretty skill hungry, and Gepard in a way is not. Now, of course, you want to alternate between basic attack and his skill because the freezing from his skill is really good. If you want to possibly skip an enemy's turn or move them lower in the turn order, then you can do that with the skill, or if you want to regenerate your ultimate quicker, that's pretty good as well. So there's a lot of things that Gepard has that I guess I feel like a lot of people are overlooking this character. If you guys still have doubts, you can ask me any questions, but this character is honestly awesome and I freaking love him. It took me a while to really like him, and he's blushing. Oh, that's so adorable. He got caught in 4K with that one. Also, real quick, he's really good in Simulated Universe too, because in Simulated Universe, you can use the Preservation class, and honestly, good luck to the enemy for trying to kill you, because that's not happening. At least it shouldn't happen as long as you build your Gepard. But yeah, Gepard's really easy to build, as I stated. He's a really good character, and I can see why people are possibly overlooking him because there are a lot of things to consider. His traces really do matter, considering that effect hit rate matters as well. But a base Gepard in himself is just so good, and once again, if you have him, make sure to build him. There's nothing wrong with building Gepard here, and he freaking punches people with Serval's. Oh wait, no, he doesn't punch people with it, but I thought I could take out the guitar case. Now this is kind of awkward, but the point is that Gepard's really good. And I hope this video convinced you. If it didn't, then ask me any questions and I'll try to convince you maybe in the comments. Or you could tell me why you don't think Gepard's good at all. And maybe you can try to sway my mind, which I don't think you can. But you can possibly let me know why you don't think Gepard's that great. Overall, though, I think I rambled enough. I think you guys get the point. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be covering more characters in the future and giving you basically a bit of a rundown as to why I think they're really good. I do have another character in mind coming up very soon, and Gepard's just one of them. So yeah, I hope you guys all have a nice day, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.